Hello, everyone. I'm Shannon Brown, sound healer, vocalist, educator, and ceremonialist, and I support my clients to welcome their voices in and unleash the power of sound. Welcome to the Sacred Sound Summit. Awaken your voice, heal through sound, and transform your life. This week, you will experience a revolutionary online gathering of renowned sound healers, vocal alchemists, ceremonial leaders, and visionaries in the field of sound. This event will awaken, empower, and elevate your understanding of sound as a gateway to transformation, healing, and expanded states of consciousness. Today, I welcome in the wonderful White Eagle Medicine Woman. Hello, welcome, White Eagle.
I'm thrilled to be in your living room.
Oh, fantastic. I'm going to introduce you by your bio. I'm going to read a little bit about you. Um, White Eagle Medicine Woman, Suraj Holsworth is the founding director and drum keeper of the Grandmother Drum International Peace Project and the 501c3 nonprofit Whirling Rainbow Foundation based in Homer, Alaska. She is internationally known as a shamanic healer, musician, seer, trance medium, author, speaker, teacher, ceremonial, and performance artist. She has traveled over 1 million miles, touching 1 million people in 20 countries with the 7-foot crystal inlaid thundering heartbeat of the world's largest drum of its kind, the Grandmother Drum, promoting unity, peace, tribal reconciliation, and earth sustainability. Her award winning CDs include Journey of the Heart, Songlines of the Soul, Living Waters of Grace, and Holy Ground. She is the author of The Magic Bundle children's book and Songs of a New Earth songbook. White Eagle is also the director and co producer of the award winning documentary film Grandmother Drum Awakening the Global Heart, selected as the top 20 spiritual films at the Tel Aviv Spirit Film Festival. She's the founder and director of the Rainbow Fire Mystery School, operating in Alaska, Hawaii, and Peru, and has led thousands of shamanic workshops, ceremonies, and trainings globally for over 35 years, starting with the acclaimed Language of One and Heart of One online spiritual programs. White Eagle has now expanded to RFMS to over a dozen online training programs. She is also the creator, director, and lead instructor of the certified shamanic methods of Balancing the Shields, Community Mother DrumKeeper's training, and the Crystal Skull Method. In 2013, White Eagle launched the global Blue Flame Planetary Grid sound healing ceremony, activating and renewing the Earth's grid annually with 62 trained groups worldwide. And she has additionally launched the Drum for Change Global Network in 360 cities in 80 countries. And today we are going to talk about the feminine side of the drum, awakening the voice of your soul. Welcome, White Eagle.
Wow, that was a mouthful. Yes. And welcome, Grandmother Drum, who's really the star of this show and the star of our own heart because she is the voice, not what people say. This is what they come to at every juncture that we travel. They say, I met the grandmother and it changed my life. And they don't mean this round sphere of wood with a hide on it. They mean the voice of creation. And this is a soul sound that brings us home. And all of us sound healers can create this access through a hand drum or a community drum, even. Not just grandmother drum. She's very special in that delivery. But this is what we're hungry for, I think, as we turn this millennium. And all of the ancient prophecies about the feminine voice of leadership guiding us to rise into the new earth. And so, what does that really mean? I hope to explore that today with you. Yeah.
Absolutely. This feminine rising, which we see is happening all over the world, she's done with being exploited. She's ready to rise up and help us to understand how to live in harmony with each other. And I have a sense that that's some of what the drum speaks when the drum is playing for everyone. So, White Eagle, can you define what you mean by the feminine side of the drum and what kind of healing benefits this understanding and these practices have for sound healers specifically and also spiritual seekers, because we have both sound healers and spiritual seekers joining us today?
Wonderful. Well, I'll say two things. One is the grandmothers always say when we present the grandmother drum in communities, first we're going to rock you and then we're going to rock you. You know, the two sides of the drum, the feminine and masculine sides of the drum, this rocking in the cradle, this womb-like experience of being held in the eternal beat of creation, the eternal beat of Mother Earth. And that feminine side of drumming, I would also coin as the tantra of drumming, if that helps people. You know, if they've been involved in tantric experiences or tantric sex, we call it the valley orgasm versus the peak orgasm. And
Mm.
both of those have their place. I don't want men to feel, or women who or really love that peak experience sexually or of the drum, to feel alienated in any way. This is a different experience. And many of us have experienced the more yang side of the drum when we want to get anything done in life. If you need to get an action, get a drum. If you need to get healing, get a drum. You know, it has both capacities.
Mm.
And so this, when we want to clean the house, we listen to rock and roll because the drum brings us into action. And that is the masculine side of the drum. The feminine side of the drum is creating a womb-like resonance, a soft resonance, so that we can journey into the space of presence, into that eternal sound, and experience our parasympathetic brainwave states, which we're so hungry for in this time, is this state of being and accessing our essence, our vibrational essence.
Mm.
And I was mentioning to you before we started the recording, and I wanted to say this, we had a group of hearing impaired and fully deaf people laid under this drum in this very room. And they went through the whole journey as you're going to experience today on this summit. So stay tuned because you're definitely going to get to experience the journey of the heart activation and how we do that. And they came up after the 30 minutes activation, and one of the young people signed to the interpreter for me, and she said, "This is who I am.
Wow, that's incredible. Beautiful.
Who I am," without being able to hear it this way, but the floor was moving. Everything was moving in that pulsation
Mm.
because this is the eternal sound of
Yeah.
life, and it pulses in everything. And to experience that requires several things from the sound healer to be able to work with the drum in this kind of way. And it is a little bit of a fitting paradigm that you're talking about the earth, and she's tired of this abuse, and it's the way we treat the drum, right? We bang the drum.
Yeah.
We have this experience of hitting the drum. And yes, you know, in powwow, and I love singing powwow. I've been on powwow groups and yeah, you know, screaming at the top of our lungs. And those are in our teachings power songs. They're East directional related in the medicine wheel. And they are very important to get your power song and to be able to play with that solar plexus, very primal voice. This, what we would call a south teaching in the medicine wheel, the soft and open heart teaching, versus
Mm.
the courageous or warrior heart that yang playing addresses. So it's not an either or, it's an and in both. But most sound healers do not know how to play properly in this receptive state of the
Mm.
drum.
Yeah.
And there
Yeah.
are several key things that we're going to discuss in that. But that is to access deep relaxation. We have so much to address trauma these days to get people into parasympathetic states. Our sympathetic is our fight or flight, dealing with stress. Our parasympathetic is deep rest and renewal. And
Mm.
that's what this side of the drum is all about. It's about that receptive, opening, receiving part of the drum.
Mm. I love this. It makes me think about some of the work that I've done, and I've spoken to other people about this. Sometimes I feel like it's a lullaby that I'm singing to people. It's as if people are all together on the floor on their mats almost like children in their preschool, in a sense, the day when all the kids get to lay down and rest, and then the daycare leader comes around and sings a song or plays a drum or tells a story. And I've had so many people to come and tell me after I started to cry because I felt so held. And what you're saying is something similar. It's that the grandmother, this feminine force, is coming to hold and to rock and to
Mhm.
soothe. And and it's true. I don't know if the drum has spoken to me in that way, that she is feminine and she's going to be that heartbeat. But I am a mother, so I know this. My daughter was inside of my belly, and the first time I heard her kicking was when I was watching a movie and there was a scene with drums being played. So definitely the baby knows the sound of the drum. She knows this, they know the sound of the heartbeat of the mother. So there's
Yeah.
the connection right there.
And you've said it perfectly. These South songs in our medicine wheel teachings, the South work in sound healing is the lullaby songs, is the love songs, is the healing songs. And they're
Mm.
played in a certain way. And so the fact that the recognition of your baby to the sound of the drum, and we say, people wouldn't pick up your guitar or your violin if it was sitting out, but people feel free to pick up a skin drum. It's a soul in, I always say pregnant women's bellies and drums are public access, right? People just
Yeah.
go, oh, and you never think to touch somebody any other time. But we had a booth at a festival, and this was a state fair. It wasn't a spiritual festival. And we had the drum sitting, our community drum, our 3-foot one, sitting outside the booth with a stick on it open. And people would come walking by, with their cotton candy and they would, I just wish I had a camera because everybody came up and just took the stick and went like this, because there's something in that affirmation of life that belongs to me. That is me. That belongs to me. And so the skin drum itself has to be recognized, and the animal has to be recognized in the way we move into this journey of the heart activation, into this soft resonance work. And it's very key to sound healers to know. Some of you said technique. You were asking me earlier, and we're going to go into that. We're going to mention a couple of the key things that are a part of that technique that we're missing in
Yeah.
so much. People just think, okay, drums are public access. I bought myself a drum. I'm a sound healer. But it's understanding the relationship with this medicine that I hope to imbue today as we journey with Grandmother Drum. You're going to get a chance to have that experience and a shortened version. And if you stay on to grab the free gift, this will be the award-winning sound one that we recorded and got an award for. So that you can take home with you and just work directly with that 30 minutes of how that activation progresses and where it takes you.
Hmm. Yeah,
It
I'm
works.
curious about that. So from what I understand, the shamanic drumming pattern is often done with a hide drum, and that allows the brain to entrain to the theta brain state where we can journey and where we can vision. So do you have people coming to you after saying that they went on a journey in their minds? Like, what are some of the outcomes that people share with you?
Well, this is the most important because you'll see with the CD that you're in the MP3 you're going to get now, that I guide you into that state of relaxation first. Then there's 30 minutes of the drum. Then there's 15 minutes of silence. And then there's a very gentle song to bring you out of the meditation. So it's a full hour you get to yourself. And I've had every culture, I've been in 20 countries, traveled over 1 million miles doing peace work with the drum, festivals, um, indigenous gatherings, summits, you name it. And it didn't matter the language, it didn't matter if people believed in any of this stuff or not. They would come up and say, oh, my aunt visited me, that's crossed over. I had this vision. And that's due to the sound we're able to produce that allows the trance state for one, but this has a very special frequency in it, and it has the resonance of 528 hertz, and then it has 88.1 hertz. It's at its lower end, and that's the frequency we bend light at. So it has this access point. We've had indigenous elders when we were late in Guatemala to meet them by a day. And this is where we didn't have cell phones back then. And we got there and they said, we wondered what happened. And then we went into our vision. We saw this whirling light coming towards us. And we knew you were going to heal our sacred site because we went into Ixtamché in Guatemala. And George Bush, this was back in the day, had just been in there and really defiled the space
Mm.
in such a way to the indigenous people. And they felt so bad. And it just so happened with only the grandmother's guidance, we wound up there the next day and they asked us if we would clean it from what just happened. And so we went in there and they lifted it over their heads, but they saw it coming. They saw the light coming out of it. And so they've had that recognition. But for everybody and any level of spirituality, it doesn't matter because people say the same thing. I feel like I'm in the womb. I feel like I'm held. I feel like I know who I am.
Wow.
And that to me, as a therapist, because I've been doing therapy with people for years, but people would come back, process, process, process. I started introducing the drum into my work, and people sliced through their trauma and just saw themselves as they really are.
Mm.
Very similar to what people say with plant medicines. You have this experience with yourself, then everything else gets put in perspective. Then we know
Yeah.
this is a dream because I got access to my true essence.
Mm. Yeah.
And scientists call it your base resonant frequency, and our indigenous people to the heartbeat of Mother Earth. Mhm.
Mm.
You got
Yeah,
connected.
because
You got,
we
you
are
got
that
plugged
deeply,
in.
we are so deeply connected and we are one with the earth. We are not separate. We are just as much animal, vegetable, mineral. We are so deeply connected. We cannot live without the earth. So I love what you're saying. And then there's also our particular soul's journey, right? To stand up and find who we truly are is what you're saying. And the drum is allowing people to step into their truth. And I think more and more people are hungry for this because we've just come from a time that our true selves were taken away and we were through many different systems turned into beings that would just be followers instead of leaders. And it's important for us to find out who we are. And sound is really doing that for people now. And you're exactly, it's just beautiful what you're offering to people, this vehicle for finding self.
Yeah, I feel that I'd like to put the drum in everyone's hand, that it's your birthright to have the drum back in your hand and to connect with your soul song. We work with all of the medicine wheel songs that are your access for healing and empowerment. And it's not, in Africa, we never would say, you're a drummer and you're a singer. That doesn't happen in Africa. It's if you can talk, you can sing. If you can walk, you can dance. And everyone has a heartbeat, so everyone can play the drum. This isn't about music. It's about the soul sound of connection.
Mm, I love
And
that.
so, yeah, and we teach a training. In fact, we're doing one in September where sound healers can get immersed in all the shamanic instruments and how to work with them properly for both the yin and yang side of their medicines. How do these work? And in our indigenous cultures around the world, and we talk about the medicine wheel because it has four aspects to represent all the elemental energies, yeah, and the fifth element, which is our spirit. And so we work with sound within that context, not just this polarization of one, but this feminine side of drumming. In fact, one of my students coined me that. It wasn't me that ever came up with that. And he was a professional drummer, and then he moved into indigenous shamanic work. And now he's really understanding. When he first got here and he did a private training with me, he started on grandmother drum. And I said, nope, you don't have it at all. This is too yang. You're not, I'm under there and I'm disturbed by it. I'm not ready to rest.
Yeah.
So I said, just listen, let me do it for you. And he went so deep and he goes, So I got him back up there and I said, now try. So he started and it was again a little too fast. Slow it down, slow it down.
Yeah.
More space between the beats. Don't be rushing. And that's one thing I'll say that differs from a lot of um, different kinds of trance drumming uh, that goes very fast.
Mm-hmm.
This is a style. I'm not going to judge it or criticize it or anything. It's a style, but it's not this style. We
Mm-hmm.
don't move that fast. And they said, well,
Yeah.
people will fall asleep if you don't keep it at a certain tempo. Let them fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's the only sleep they ever get anymore, right? Let them fall asleep.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let them go deep because this is different. And I tried, I was with the Sound Healing Summit in Santa Fe at one time, and they asked me to do it for their shamanic journey work that they do, and they go really fast, you know. And I was like, you can't get me to play that grandmother drum that fast. It's not what she's wants for journey work, and I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't make that happen.
Yeah.
So you'll see the style as you go through. You're going to see the tempo of it and feel the tempo of it. But I will say that the soft resonance we're going to speak to in technique in a minute here. And the other is this Mickey Hart of the Grateful Dead said, drumming at the edge of magic. And
Mm.
what this means is that I'm 100% in the center of my presence now. There is just now. There is not the future. I'm not journeying. I'm not going anywhere when I'm drumming. I am exactly right there. And I am in the eternal now, and my hands are moving. I am in the center, and my hands are moving. I can hear when people are doing journey work that they are on a thought. They're somewhere because their tempo changes. They speed up or
Mm.
slow down. You're not there. And that's what drops people is your power to hold the center while the wash of the drone is pulling them into their journey. But if you're not present as a sound healer, if you're not right in that absolute now, because that's the eternity, that's where the sound originates, in that silence, then people reflect it immediately. It's very, very, very important.
I love what you're saying.
Silence, that the space between the beats is as important as the beat in this style of resonance.
Mm.
And it's no rushing. That's
Yeah.
all our world has been about. It's about presence and holding that steady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely have experienced that in my own awakening journey with sound healing many years ago. And it took some time for me to slow down and to not try and fill the space and to not try and entertain or worry so much. Oh, they're going to think, as you said before, they're going to fall asleep or they're going to think it's over. It's such a beautiful thing to be in the presence of someone who has that edge of magic center, grounded capacity to hold and to share the music in that way, to share the vibrations in that way. So, for all of our sound healers watching here, I'm just curious, think about that when you're doing your work. Where are you at when you're in that moment? And can you slow down even more? That's one of the things I share with my students. Like, whatever whatever speed you're going at, half that and then half it again and see how you feel. Because if that brings up tension or it makes you feel nervous, there's something that you can work on right there. So I
Mhm.
really love the way you've brought this up. And I'm curious, would you share with us the keys that these key practices and techniques that sound healers and spiritual seekers can utilize to deepen this spiritual connection with this method of drumming?
Okay, so we're going to go into a little bit of technique,
Okay.
a little bit of the most important things when we're going to do journey drumming. Okay, I call it the journey of the heart activation, or you can say shamanic drumming. Um, These are very key things. Now, this is only a little bit of what I'm going to be doing in the full training, but you get an idea. And the most important thing, and let's look at a hoop drum,
Yeah.
one I recently made that somebody here might want to claim. Um, Beautiful, beautiful buffalo with its
Wow.
spine. And the spine in our culture represents the East. It's one of the four bones of the medicine wheel, the backbone, right? Having courage. So that's that East work where I like the courage to be who I am. So when I first relate to the drum, the most important thing is to connect. It's if we think about, I'm coming back to sex, so that's always an interesting topic. I'll get everybody's attention. In any kind of tantric sexual, there's all of this tenderness that comes right in the beginning, where soft touches and warm kisses and very gentle energy. We want that the same with the drum. For this kind of work, the drum has to be warm. The skin has to be warm and pliable. So if we are going to do sound healing, we want to pre-warm that head. We want it nice and tight, and we want it warm. And I want to make a connection with that, because there is playing a drum when it's too flat, which is not capable of doing journey work at all. People will buy a drum and say, there's a dip in my drum. It's like, it's cold, it's damp, it's flat. Warm it. It's a skin like our own. So, and I can also tone into the back of the drum to give it my medicine, to connect with it, and to feel its pitch today. Because depending on the temperature, it changes. And to see if it's the pitch that I want to use for that journey, or it needs to be warmer. And how we do that is we just literally tone into the back of, and we'll know when we've reached the resonance. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Now you may not be able to hear what I'm hearing, but I hear where that pitch was, where I heard the depth of the sound drone around in the rim. That connects me with my breath to my medicine.
Beautiful.
And the number one tool, I think, for journeying is to have a soft stick. Now, this is essential. This is like the number one essential to doing sound healing work. We have different styles of sticks. We have a harder stick. And I don't know how good the sound is that you're hearing, but we have an even harder stick, which I use for power singing. Really loud. And then we come to the feminine side of drumming. Sheepskin. Now I don't know if you can hear the drone in there at all. So that drone that we're hearing underneath is what we're looking for, what we're wanting to hear for that trance-inducing theta level that you're talking about, okay? And what I can do is I just can play the drum in different locations. There you go. Hear that? I found its sweet spot. Every drum has a G spot.
Love that.
You've got to have a relationship. It's not about banging. It's about, I played with one of Mickey Hart's drummers in Earth Dance, Kim Atkinson, a fabulous drummer, way, way over my ability. And he and I got on Grandmother for a duet, like a call and response. And he said to me afterwards, I can't play the drum like you. I thought, what are you talking about? You're such a better drummer than I am. And he said, but you know her head intimately. You know every part of her skin. And that is a lover.
Yeah.
I have a love affair with that head. I know exactly where to pump it for what I want for the sound to drone properly. I know how to warm her. I know how to preheat her with my wood stove so her wood is so nice and warm that everything, these are keys to keeping
Yeah.
the medicine, to be a keeper of the beat, to be a keeper of trance. And the drum is the number one tool of trance. So we have to learn proper ways to work with it. So being able to do this. Now, when we see the journey beat, you'll see many people doing the journey beat faster. Sandra Ingerman, many great sound healers, and that's the way they were trained. And so if you were trained in this kind of fast journey, that's okay. The most important part of it is, can you maintain the droning, soft resonance?
Right.
Okay, we found that sweet spot, and it can change. You hear that drone?
Yeah, there's multiple tones in
Okay.
it.
Yes. And that is also, I'll just say, the quality of a drum. And I've made 6,000 drums. You have to be able to hear that. If you don't have that in your drum, you don't have a good drone, you don't have a good drum maker. Okay. So when I'm doing that continuous beat, now you saw mine was much slower.
Yes.
I find that that's the beat that needs to sustain without it going too fast. Part of the reason for that is if you journey it too fast, you lose the drone.
Right.
If you hit too hard, you lose the drone. It's a very soft and intimate process. You know, it is a lover. It's like finding the G spot on a woman. Like, it's not, okay, some like it hard and fast, some like it soft, but it's the soft tantric thing that keeps the body open.
Yeah.
This is why the orgasm in tantric sex goes on forever, because we keep it open. The harder tends to peak us and make us tense our muscles, which leads to a very high peak. Woo! You know, the drum circle kind of thing. Yeehaw! And that's great. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. I love that part too. But this is something completely different.
Yeah. This
It
is
looks,
about surrendering,
it
and
is.
it's about feeling safe and trusting. I love that we're talking about sexuality. It's like we need to trust our lover to be consistent, to have a rhythm that allows us to move into a new space, to keep going, not to be all over the place, to just keep that rhythm and not move off. It's I see what you're saying, bringing in the sexual. When when someone comes to us for healing, they need to feel safe, they need to surrender in order to receive and to find the healing within them. And yeah, it just feels like a very foundational aspect, and
Mhm.
what you're saying makes so much sense.
Wonderful. And it's even to such a point that I'm not putting my energy downward into the drum.
Hmm.
Many people, when they first learn to drum, are doing it sort of like this. Of course, we want our hands pivoting very lightly so that the reverberation of drum is going to bounce off like a trampoline and give us energy. And that's where the drone, if we're pressing down, we're going to dull out that drone. We're not getting it's a very soft. And you may see in the activation we're going to get a chance to experience with grandmother drum here on this interview is a very subtle, almost hardly noticeable, is a round movement. It's a slightly
Ah,
round movement because, again, that keeps the drone, it doesn't deaden it in any way. It keeps the vibration building. And those of you that have crystal bowls and work with them, you know how to get that bowl to sing. It's a very specific thing. And with the drum, if you keep it in that soft and circular movement and find the sweet spot, it may change, it may travel. With grandmother drum, it has 200 clear and rose quartz crystal in the base of it in a triple spiral. So I am tracing the crystal matrix with my sticks in circular patterns because it starts to sound like a giant crystal bowl and a thundering herd of buffalo all at the same time. And people are laid down all around the base with their heads into the bowl and onto their back. And they'll able to actually feel the sensation of dropping through the center of the drum, as if they were in the center of that bowl, dropping through some kind of portal, which has been described to us many, many times. Um, and people have even seen the Star of David, the Merkaba, come over the drum because those triple spirals in 3D would form a Merkaba. And so what
Wow.
the elder said, we saw that whirling light coming towards us. So it is a very powerful portal into the soul, into all those that have crossed over, our guides, our teachers, our medicine people. And this is when it's played properly in sacred ceremony with honor and respect. And
Mm.
this is the thing that I hope to educate people to learn more about the use of it, and not just, oh, I bought a drum and bang, 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 is to learn how to have a relationship with this beautiful animal that has given its life for you to come home. And the sacred one-legged are tree people who create the hoop of learning for you so that you can come home. So
Oh,
this kind of playing is essential. And then my last tip, I mean, again, this is a 5-day training, but the last thing I want to say about that is your vocal guidance. All right. Of course, our sacred space has to be a room like this that's warm and comfortable and that there isn't other sound. You know, I don't know how people do it on the 15th floor of a skyrise, you know, with lots of noise. People have to be able to drop deep into silence. And so we could just do a whole lecture on creating the sacred room space for or outdoor space for sacred work like this. But the key thing to vocal guiding, if you're going to do any vocal guiding with your journey work, you have to have a very soft voice tone. And as you start, your words are going to be fairly close together. And then all of a sudden, as you go along your guiding, the space between what you're sharing should be larger and larger and larger. So the
mm.
silence gets more. And just relax now. Let your body just sink into the floor. Let Mother Earth hold you in her loving arms. There's nothing to do. Just be. These invitations, these affirmations, because people will go on a journey and they'll think, I got to get something. And
Mm-hmm.
again, they're in goal orientation. So I would tell them, it doesn't matter if anything happens and if you fall asleep and don't remember a thing, just be. This is your chance to have no agenda, but just to lay there and let your body drop. And don't have it, oh, she saw something I didn't, or I just be with yourself. And that ability to create space and invitation slows down the person because you're trying to seduce them within. This is, again, we go back to sex. It's a seduction, right? It's a
Mm-hmm.
seduction to the sweetness of their being. So those are
Yeah.
just a handful of really important tips for all of our sound healers, all of our initiates out there that have a drum and want to be able to use it in this way.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's so interesting. I'm looking at your drum and I'm seeing the spine of this beautiful buffalo. And I just saw a video online where somebody had set up their camera over 24 hours looking over a canyon. And it was so amazing because the you could see the Milky Way in the sky moving at night, moving across the sky, and it looks like the spine of the drum.
Isn't
We're
it?
just we're
It
all
does look like the
connected.
Milky Way. Each one is
Yeah.
a name and ceremony. Let's see what this one is. Power of the Andes. Yeah. Okay. Wow. And we're headed into Peru in the fall with a shamanic training. Oh, wow.
Is
So
that where
yeah,
is that where the training is in Peru or is
no,
it up north?
the drum keepers training is here in Alaska. That'll be in
Okay.
September over
Yeah.
sol equinox and fall equinox. And then in later October, we head into Peru for a 2 week training. Yeah. And medicine. And yeah, we've
Wow.
been doing that for many, many years. We have a great team down there. So yeah.
And are you helping to teach people to hold space with sound, working with sacred medicines more than sound? Because that's something that this summit is talking a bit about, because there is a real need as plant medicines are becoming more and more popular. People are getting trained on how to hold space, but they're not getting trained on how to work with sacred instruments and sacred
Sacred
sounds.
music and plant medicine songs. Yes, that's in this training in September. That's all because we're doing the whole wheel of all of the songs, all the medicines, all
Hmm.
the core instruments that we use shamanically, the flute, all of the core shamanic instruments across culturally, and how
Wow.
to use them in all the different medicine ways, not just this one south work. This, I would say, this is our south work. We're talking about journey work, laying down meditations, soft and open-heartedness, because we have 4 chambers to the heart. So each of them represent a different aspect of the heart. Mhm.
Mm.
So
Wow.
these stuff, which I was mentioning earlier, power songs. This is like the ones that give us courage, and those are
Yeah.
very different. Those are played with a hard stick. They're very, very different songs. And but medicine songs for plant medicines are South songs. They're
Mm.
also South songs because they're healing songs. Love
Wow.
songs, healing lullabies, as you would say, are
Lullabies.
all South songs to us. So they all have a very particular style. And of course, the primary rhythm to them is the heartbeat rhythm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's even very fast, but I was just giving you that example. So
Yeah.
those songs are to help lure people into that healing. And like you said, you create lullabies, and the kindergarten lullabies. And I always said I create a puppy pile. Everybody's in puppy pile around the drum. And I'll finish the journey and I'll invite everybody to reconnect with the outer world. And nobody wants to get up. Everybody stays under. Like I have to usually sing 2 or 3 very soft songs to kind of, okay, it's time to finish. Nobody wants
Yeah.
to get up. Um, and then we do the second part, which is we rock you, and we get, 50 people playing on her together and singing
Wow.
and dancing. And so we're going to be going through each of those each day. Spend a whole day in each of the 4 directions,
Hmm.
working with all the instruments, the songs, how to work with them, and having most of that time is hands-on. I mean, it's a little bit of teaching, but most of it is giving them a chance to experience it.
Yeah, I'm very curious about um like I want to ask you about what are the songs in each direction, but I know that that's not we gotta hold off. Be gentle.
Well, I
We're
could do
not
a
gonna.
short version of that. I can do a short version. So the
Yeah, I'm very
East, we
curious.
say, are power songs. In Native
Yeah.
America, we call them power songs. Souths are healing songs. Yeah, any of the heartbeat rhythm we're talking about. You said lullabies. Love songs are there. West is usually celebration songs, honoring like the harvest, things like this. It's also the death dirges, because that's the crossing over point. So the west gate is the sunset gate, right? The east is the rising sun. So power songs are also morning songs to us. West songs are death songs or letting go songs.
Mm.
And then our north is our vision. That's the air element. It's the eagle and condor in our medicine teachings. And that is visionary, inspirational songs. In contemporary music, we call them inspirational songs. And then the center of the medicine wheels are spirit songs. And
Mm.
these are the most powerful ones of all to source our spirit. Yeah. So we go into that in depth. We go into the instrument that is associated with those songs cross-culturally and using, like you said, different kinds of sticks, hands, what we do with different effects on the drum so that we can get the kind of movement we want to create, especially in when you do plant medicine with the ayahuasqueros, they know exactly how to sing that plant up your body. Have you ever
Yeah.
noticed that? Has anybody
Oh,
ever
yeah.
been there? And they're these gorgeous lyrical pieces. And all of a sudden you're sitting there and you feel the plant medicine come up with the sound. And this is essential to understand. Even if you've never been a sound healer and you have been to a plant medicine where an Icaros has been sung, you pay attention to what that does to you. And then you'll understand. We can go into vocal harmonics as well and all of the vowel sounds. But, for this, we're going to stay with where we are. But come up to Alaska. Let me show you Alaska, sweetie.
I'm so
Because
inspired.
we're going to go across the bay from us too and go up to the Mother Glacier that's here and this beautiful Apu, this beautiful mountain, to
Mm,
do our ceremony up there to close our time. So,
yeah.
but yes, this size is a good size for people if they're going to do sound work. Now you can use any drum, but I prefer something at 18 or 20. This is 18, and I'll show you my 20 here in a minute. Why? Because we haven't even talked about drum attunements on the body, how to do a drum attunement to someone
Yeah.
with a hand drum. This spans the whole body that way.
Right.
The
Wow.
18
So
is a little
powerful.
bit lighter than the 20 for women, to hold. And it depends upon, like, this is a lighter, thinner buffalo. It's much lighter to carry. My 20 is a heavy male buffalo skin.
Right.
Grandmother drum is a male buffalo skin, thicker. And so it's a heavier drum to hold. But it's all about the sound that, resonates with you. And somebody's going to tell me this one resonates with them because this one's available. Yeah, that sweet spot is still there.
It's really beautiful.
So when we hear that boom, 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 that's what's working on the brain. That is what we want, is that beautiful overtoning drone.
Yeah.
Now with
Wow.
grandmother drum, it's going to be a little bit different because we're laid around her. And because we needed to shorten the journey, my timing is much shorter than it normally is. So when you get the free gift, that's the timing that I normally do because it's a 30-minute track versus we're going to do a 12-minute track for the summit. So I go way even slower than you're going to see on this video. I had to figure out how to do it in 12 minutes without looking at a clock because you told me 12 minutes. I got it at 12 minutes without looking at the clock at all because I just said, okay, drum. And this is my final teaching before we go in to this magical journey, is that the skin of the drum will tell you when the journey's over. Now, I have the opportunity to have everybody laying under grandmother. And so what happens is the top of the drum is droning. It is a belling out. It is moving. It is like open-hearted. And then all of a sudden, the skin will change
Hmm.
and the skin will feel slightly hard.
Right.
It's like everyone underneath is saying, that's all I can handle. That's
Yeah.
as much as I can take in, and the bodies are starting to close off. Now, again, this is, again, Tantra sex, right? How much is enough, right? We have to get that place where it's just sweet. It's not about more is better. It has nothing to do with that. And the people will tell me, so sometimes I do a 30-minute journey, sometimes I do a 15-minute journey, sometimes I do a 45-minute journey with grandmother drum. It all depends upon how the drum responds. And the hoop drum will do the same. When I teach you the drum attunement, which we don't have time to teach here, but the drum attunement, when I'm using on a single person standing there, I can also hear it in the drum. I can actually tell you your left shoulder has an injury, doesn't it? Because all of a sudden the belling of my drum will turn hard.
Right.
And that's because that area of the body is stiff. So the rebounding of the sound off the body coming back to the open back drum, because this is the part that faces the person, is the open back. So that I can feel that resonance going back and forth to the human energy field. And it will tell me when it's enough. It will tell me something's blocked here. And I can either go around the other side of the body and work that part, or soften my beat down and see if I can stay there to help open that area up.
Hmm. Wow. Such wisdom. Oh my.
Oh, we just have
I
so
love
much
it. There's,
love.
yeah,
And as we said with Tantra, this is skin.
yeah.
This is a lover. This is you touching your lover.
You know what? One thing someone told me, which I really think makes a lot of sense. They said, yes, the earth is our mother, but we may want to start saying that she's our lover because we don't treat our lovers the way that we treat our mothers. A lot of people don't treat their mothers very well. It's obviously time to start treating mothers better, but can we look at the earth also as a lover and treat her that way? So it's combining with what you're saying right now in this beautiful way.
So just to let people now experience
Yeah.
grandmother drum and paying attention again to that sound of the drone and bringing that into your body. We're going to start you with a heartbeat rhythm to connect with your heart. It's going to start very slow and it's going to pick up slightly that heartbeat. And then it's going to transition into a straight journey beat. And that's the drone. That's the freedom ride that you're going to take. And then very subtly, you'll notice at the very end of it, I'm going to transition back into the heartbeat, but you're hardly going to notice it. And I'm going to transition, and I'm going to be almost at your resting pulse at that point. And then I'm going to fade out into silence, and usually that's when you get to hear your own heartbeat. My beat should be almost exactly the same as your heartbeat by the end. And that's the transition that I always look for when I'm doing it. So
Perfect.
a few moments of breath to help you open to the frequency. Okay. So I'd like you to just close your eyes for a moment. And if you're going to sit or stand or lay down for this meditation, my suggestion is you just drop everything that you've been on your mind and drop even everything that I've just said. You just want to have your own experience. Don't pay attention to anything but yourself. And you're going to do this very important breath throughout the time that you remember it, to help you to continue to open. And that is to breathe the first breath very effortlessly, no big power breathing, from the back of your heart out the front. So just do that with me. Just in an effortless. The second breath, you're going to breathe in from the front of the heart as if you could breathe in out the back. The same. Next breath, breathe in from the left side of the heart, out the right. Just effortless. If you can't do it, just imagine it. Next one, breathe from the right side, in, out the left. Next, from the bottom, from the earth, all the way up through the center of the heart and out the top of the head. And the final one, from the top of the head, breathe in, down, and reconnect with the earth all the way underneath you. This is called Ishtaba, the breath of eternal life. And it will open all four chambers of your heart to receive this love, this vibration of healing, and to relax and open. So try it again, just to remember that it's back to front, front to back, left to right, right to left, bottom to top, and top to bottom. So wherever you are on your journey, you can hear my voice. And just taking a moment to acknowledge whatever happened, whether you're aware of it or not. Take 4 deep breaths in and out of the heart like we did in the beginning to integrate it mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And as you take this gentle breath, you make a very effortless, easy transition from the inner to the outer, as natural as breathing in and out. Take your time. Keep that presence with you.
Hmm. Wow. So beautiful. Thank you so, so much for all of this wisdom, guidance, and just I honor your presence here so much. And I just feel so grateful to have met the grandmother drum and to have received this wisdom. And I know this is not our last time seeing each other. I feel very drawn to what you do and really appreciate all that you share with the world. We are really, I believe that humanity is ready to awaken to all these incredible gifts that nature and spirit and the drum are ready to give.
Hmm.
So,
We were like natural sisters, weren't we, when we first got on the call to get ready for this, and it just felt like an instant resonance together. So a soft resonance, as I would say.
yes,
Um,
yes.
so I hope we get to do some things together again. This is so lovely. And for
Yeah.
everyone else, please make sure you get the free recording, the whole track recording, the professional track recording. I can't capture everything that I wanted to give you today on video due to Zoom sounds and stuff. So please take advantage of the track. It's my gift to you. And hope I can meet you all in another moment to rock you in the cradle.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Oh, such a beautiful, beautiful time we've spent together. And thank you to everyone who came to the summit today. And I just want to remind you that we do have our Facebook group. So please put your experience, if you want to write about it, you want to share with each other, what you discovered when you listened to Grandmother Drum and what you've learned from White Eagle Medicine Woman. And we'll be there to discuss and collaborate and chat with you all. So thank you again, everyone. And thank you so much, White Eagle. Blessings to you.
My deep pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.